decentralized renewables have really scaled up in India over the last few years, particularly in the last decade, be it in the form of solar home systems, and of course, smaller systems like solar lanterns, or even larger systems like mini grids and microgrids. But yet, while there has been a lot of growth, I think the solutions are still on the margins compared to the mainstream electricity system in the country. And having worked in the sector for the last 8 years, I do believe that the next rung of growth that the DRE sector in India is going to see is primarily going to come from the productive use of decentralized renewable energy solutions. Solutions which can actually enhance income, which can actually serve communities, be it in terms of the healthcare and education, so that the impact on lives go beyond households and actually translate into impact on livelihoods. And this is where even the joint program that the Council on Energy, Environment and Water, the organization that I represent, and will grow, one of the leading social enterprise incubator in India, the joint program between CEEW and will grow comes into play, which is the Powering Livelihood. Powering Livelihood is trying to mainstream the productive use of renewables, productive use of decentralized renewable energy in the country. And we believe that there are three mantras to really go about scaling decentralized renewables. And first one being ignite the demand. Uh, Many of these solutions that exist today, be it a solar powered sewing machine, be it a solar powered rice mill, be it a solar powered charkha, or be it a biogas powered cold storage, a lot of these solutions exist. They have been deployed with the end users, but they have been deployed in very small numbers, in tens or hundreds at best. So majority of the users, majority of the India and rural India in particular, is not even aware that such possibilities and such solutions exist. And unless the users are aware, unless the stakeholders who can actually leverage these solutions to achieve their end goals are aware, we're not going to see a scale in adoption. So the first thing that we must focus on is really how do we ignite the demand. And here, the real test is in making sure that we are not pushing these products into the market, but rather creating a pull for these solutions from the end use sectors. So when we think about which ministries to engage with, it should not be only the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. It should actually be the ministries of textile, Ministry of Food Processing Industry, Ministry of Rural Development. The ministries who are mainstreaming and supporting livelihoods in the country need to embrace and adopt these solutions. They need to create space for these solutions in their existing schemes, and that's what the sector should focus and advocate for. And same goes for the civil society. When you are engaging with the NGOs in the space, the civil society organization in the sector, we need to mainstream these solutions with the livelihood NGOs, with the Pradhan and the CINI and the TRIF of the world, so that these solutions actually reach the end users who we want to engage with and want to benefit from. The next thing that we should focus on is supporting enterprises. While we spark the demand ignition, we must make sure that that demand can be served well by supporting the enterprises who can serve that demand, and not serving that demand in ones or tens, but essentially in hundreds and thousands. And here, a lot of support is required in building these young enterprises, which are bubbling with energy, bubbling with innovations and ideas, but are not yet figured out a commercially viable model for themselves. How do we support them in business planning? How do we support them in financial modeling, in go-to-market strategies, where to put the product, how to provide initial offerings to the consumer, what should be the value proposition that is stated for the consumer, and so on. So all of this needs support, hand-holding, and that's where incubators, accelerators, and some of the players already in the ecosystem are trying to provide that support to such enterprises. But one thing is also important, while we focus on sales and expanding the scope of these solutions, we must equally focus on the after-sales services. Only then these solutions would sustain the test of time and will thrive on their own word of mouth. The third thing beyond demand and supporting the enterprises that we should focus on is leveraging partnerships. I think partnerships are highly underrated in the sector, and we need to focus a lot more on these. Partnerships between enterprises and financiers, partnerships between ecosystem players and funders, partnerships between enterprises and distribution partners who will take these products and spread them to the larger communities. Leveraging these partnerships and creating partnerships which are beneficial on both the fronts for both the partners is essential. And that's what our focus has been also in Powering Livelihood. We are bringing many more funders into the space by actually generating or creating structures like first loss default guarantee so that end user financing can be unlocked, or risk guarantee so that enterprise financing can be unlocked. Only by hearing both the sides, only by understanding what are the needs, such partnerships can be fruitfully designed. So it's important to go into the details, learn about the challenges, and then see how we can shape these partnerships. Uh, I think the only limit to ambition here is our own imagination. If we believe that yes, DRE can be mainstream and can be large scale in India, there is no one stopping us. And in fact, at CEW, our vision is that by 2030, DRE should become the de facto approach of powering rural livelihoods in India. Thank you.